Today's topic is about power factor, its types, power triangle, power factor corrections, application, advantages and disadvantages of power factor. So what do you mean by power factor? Why this is required? So any generator which is producing the power, whether the power is fully consumed by the load or it is again sent back to the source, whether it is opposing the source power itself. What is the angle between voltage and current? So these are very important to know whether what the power which is generated is fully consumed or wasted in the cables. So what we pay for the power should be fully consumed by the load to do the real work. If it is wasted, the real work cannot be done. So we must know what is this power factor. Suppose if you are using it by generator is producing the power by diesel as a fuel, then if this power factor is lagging, we have a very low power factor, then what will happen? There is a wastage of fuel, there is wastage of money. Also, there will be more SOx, NOx pollutions, environmental pollutions because of this power factor. And why this power factor comes? That is due to the load. Electrical loads, we have three types of electrical loads. One is resistive load, inductive load, capacitive load, RLC loads. So each load have each properties, how it consumes the power, what it delivers out, so what absorbs, what it delivers. So everything has different properties. So we must see what is that from this topic. In our next slide is define power factor. Power factor is the cosine angle between generator and voltage. So what is the cosine angle is actually, suppose we have a waveform like this. You can take x-axis as time and y-axis as voltage. Voltage and current with their amplitude. How much amplitude it is going to show. Voltage and current with its amplitude. So whenever we draw one x-axis and y-axis, we have to know what is it. So we have to write this is amplitude, how much level. Suppose this is voltage curve, sine wave of voltage. And this is current curve. This is current curve. So this is V and this is I. So whenever at the zero time, the both are initially starting. And at this period, at the 90 degree, both are at the peak value. Again at 180 degree, it goes to zero. So this is the curve which shows what is the phase angle. So here the phase angle difference between the voltage and current is zero. There is no phase angle. Both are acting in the same time. At the initial time, the both are starting with zero, and at 90 degree, both are at the maximum point. So we have the same curve. So this is the cosine angle between the voltage and current. Here the cosine angle is zero. So cos of zero is 1. Certain loads will have certain cosine angles. In some loads, the current may start from here. So this angle is called as the lagging angle. The current lags here. So this is lagging angle. The cos of that particular angle will give the power factor. So why this is going to lag, why we have this unity power, is what we are going to see from this topic. Okay. Next point. It determines how effectively incoming supply is used by the electrical system. Power factor is how much apparent power or total power is supplied by power mains is utilized to do some real useful work. is how much apparent power or total power is supplied by power lines is utilized to do some useful work. Without getting wasted, it has to do the useful work. So the formula for power factor, one we can say cos pi, cosine angle of voltage and the current. And one more is kW by kVA. So what is kW? kW is an active power and kVA is an apparent power. So this is the both ratios of kW and kVA is called as power factor. So this is about how do we define the power factor. Power factor is the cosine angle of voltage and current. What is the angle difference between your voltage and current? That will give you a power factor. And whatever the useful work has been done, utilized by the load, that is called as the power factor. Now, next one. If we connect a pure resistive load, that is called as the active power. So here we have a pure resistive load. So this is active power is a working power that actual equipment need to do some work. So whatever the generator is producing electrical energy. The electrical energy is converted into heat energy, but by this resistive load. Some examples of resistive loads are heaters, galley heaters, room heaters, and soldering irons. So this type of equipments have a pure resistive loads. So the waveform for the pure resistive loads, the voltage and current are in phase with each other. So at the time of this point 0, both are initially starting. At the time of this point 90 degrees, both are meeting at maximum. So no difference is there between the phase angle. The phase angle is 0. The cos 0 is 1. The power factor of the pure resistive load is 1. Means whatever the power is supplied, the power is fully used to do some work. So what is the work? The work is I square R work. Electrical energy is converted into heat energy. Any form of energy can be converted according to the thermodynamics law. The electrical load which converts the electrical energy into heat energy is called as the resistive load. So for that we have the circuit diagram. Also the waveform shows. Suppose this is the power waveform drawn. Why it is drawn only in the positive side? Suppose if this voltage and current both are in the positive. Plus into plus, the power waveform will be in positive. Here the both voltage and the current waveform is in negative. Minus into minus, it will become plus. So now also the power is in positive. So only the power is traveling from source to the load. There is no return current. There is no return power. So that means from this waveform that we can understand from this waveform. So moving to the next slide, we can see what is the properties of the resistive load and what is the power factor of the resistive load. As we have already seen, the power factor is equal to 1 because the cosine angle difference is 0. So cos 0 is 1. Power factor is 1. It means 100% of the power supplied by the main is fully utilized as a real power. The examples of pure resistive loads are electric heater, water heater, room heater, incandescent bulb, electric iron, soldering iron. So these are all examples for resistive load. Mainly everything consisting of a heater, heating resistive load. Next, what is the properties of resistive load? First property is this load consumes only the active power. Active power is nothing, it is a real power. Active power has different names, true power, real power, working power. So it consumes to work. So it is doing some work. So it consumes the full power to do the work. The voltage and current waveform of such loads are in phase with each other. There is no phase difference. The phase difference is 0. No phase difference. Power factor of such load is always unity. Power factor is equal to 1. If power factor is 1, the losses will be very less. Copper losses will be less. If power factor is very low, if it is inductive in nature, if it is reactive power, if it is becoming power factor 0.4, then what will happen? Losses will be very high. Copper losses will be very high. Wastage of power is high. Also, since that kVA, parent power is the total power. This kVA will be high, so the size of the equipment should be made bigger, since the flow of current is very high. If power factor is low, consumption of power is very high, flow of power is very high, current is high. So we have to go for a bigger size of equipment. Also, the efficiency droops down, efficiency also reduces. So these are the disadvantages, drawbacks of having low power factor, always. So whatever the generator is producing, that has to be utilized by the load. Then it is a good power. If power is getting wasted, everything, diesel pollutes the environment, the load cannot meet the demand, what is required. So that the power factor plays a big role in this. The next point, power always flows from the source to load. There is no opposition of current from load to the source. Source to the load, the power is flowing and the load is consuming the power. That's it. That is a resistive load. And now the next slide, inductive load. Inductive load is also called as reactive power. What do you mean by reactive power? The reactive power is expressed in VAR. We'll say it in VAR. Active power is, last we have seen with resistive load, that is kW. kW or watts W. So this is reactive power. Is the power required by the equipment to build the magnetic field, so that it will do electromechanical conversion. It only pulsates back and front in the circuit. So what does it do? It is used for the electromechanical conversion. Electrical energy is converted into mechanical energy. So it only pulsates back and front in the circuit. What do you mean by this is the reactive load, that is the inductive load, and we have capacitive loads also. This inductive load will charge and it has the ability to discharge. So when the power is taken from the source, it starts to charge. And after, it will discharge back to the source. So when it is discharging back, the flow of current inside the windings will make a mechanical conversion. Starts the rotor to rotate. So that's what they mean here. It is an electromechanical conversion that will be pulsating between back and front in the circuit. In the circuit, what does it mean? In the circuit means from source to the load and load to the source. That will be back and front. So this is the waveform which is showing. This is the voltage waveform. The dark line shows the voltage waveform. And this is blue, which shows the current waveform. So the current is lagging here. The current starts from here only. The 0 point of the voltage starts from here. After some angle difference only, the current is starting here. So this is our lagging. Lagging is approximately 90 degrees. So the angle phase difference is 90 degrees. So cos 90. Cosine angle of voltage and current, cos 90. So that will become 0. So that is the power factor difference we have. So what is happening to the power? Power at the time of voltage starting, your power is also in negative because current is negative. Plus into minus, your power will also become minus. Voltage is in plus curve and current is in minus curve. Plus into minus, the power will also become minus. The minus powers or the current which is traveling from the load to the source. So this is back and front. The real work is not fully completed. 0% of the real work. 0% of the consumption. What is happening? It's creating the magnetic field in the generator. It is converting electro into mechanical conversion, electrical into mechanical conversion. It makes unwanted torque and it makes problem to the rotor. So we have to overcome this. We have to overcome this power factor correction has to be done. So what are the inductive loads? What is the examples of this inductive loads? For example, we can take squirrel cage induction motor. Very large squirrel cage induction motor as a load when it is started, the starting current it will consume 6 times more than the normal rated current. Starting current is very high. So because of this, starting current is very high. So this is inductive in nature also. So this will charge and discharge it back to the source. That will oppose the power which is produced from the source. So this will reduce the power factor to 0.4 also. Pure inductive load will become 0.4 also. 0.4 reduction, 0.4 power factor will be there. The cos pi will become 0.4 also. So approximately here, since it is 90-degree lagging, we can say that cos 90, the power factor is 0. As no power supplied by the main is used to do the real work. Whatever the main is supplying is not used for the real work. Real work, the load has to do some work. The load has to convert one form of energy to another form. No work is done. It is only created to do this electromechanical conversion. So what they will do in the generator side, if it is making problem to the rotor speed, if the unwanted torque is mechanical torque is created, and if it is making unwanted torque, then we have to check with the speed of the engine. So we have to adjust the fuel. Governor will come to the act. So governor will adjust the speed so that this unwanted rotor pull will get reduced. Otherwise, we have to increase our excitation. The generator will be provided with the DC excitation. DC excitation has to be increased to give sufficient power to the load, because now it is opposing the power. So there is a back and front flow in the circuit from the source to the load and load to the source. One way of the power is useful. Both the way of power is not useful. So we have to correct these things. The examples of this inductive power factor, that is reactive power. For transformers use bindings. So they are highly inductive. Reactors in power system, washing machines, motors. So these things are inductive in nature. So they are called as inductive loads. So what are the properties we have for the inductive load? These loads consumes only reactive power. Voltage and current waveform of such loads are out of phase with each other. As we have seen, the current starts after 90-degree phase angle. So it is lagging, it is out of phase, also it is lagging by 90 degrees. So power factor of such load is lagging. Since your current is lagging, the power is also in the minus direction. That also we seen in the negative direction. Power flows from the source to the load as well as load to the source. And the power is used for only electromechanical conversion, not to do the real work. So whatever the work is fully completed, the total power which is required to do the work, that is our power factor. The next slide. We have seen what is resistive load, we have seen what is inductive load. Then what are the electrical loads? We have capacitive load. RLC is our loads. Next we have capacitive loads. Capacitive loads, capacitive bank, or this is also called as a reactive power. The capacitor is connected here. Now here the current is leading. The current is leading by 90 degrees. But we don't have a pure capacitive load. Practically, this is not achievable. It's not possible to have a pure capacitive load. Some internal resistance will be there. So this, the first point tells us capacitive load consumes both active and reactive power. So some resistance is there. So we are using the word active, because resistance is going to use the active power. So some active and reactive power is present in the capacitive load. A pure capacitive load has zero resistance, although practically it is not possible. Every capacitive load having some internal resistance in that. Some resistance will be there. If it is a pure capacitive, then it can make a leading current and it can go near to the unity, but pure is not possible. Some resistive loads will be also there. So we can make the power factor up to some 0.9. The current consumed by the capacitive load always leads behind the voltage applied across the load. So this will always lead. Next we'll see what is the properties. So the capacitive load can store the electrical energy in the form of electrical charge, also return back to the circuit or to the source. So it stores the energy and that returns back to the source. Suppose if you are connecting with only capacitor banks and the capacitor banks is connected, we cannot take it as a capacitive load. Why? Means whatever the generator is providing, whatever the source is providing the power, the same power is returned back to the source. It will charge and it will discharge, it will return back to the source. We cannot take it as a capacitive load. This is not an electrical load. Load means it has to consume. It is not an electrical load. It's again giving back to the source. Full power is given back. Suppose if the capacitive load is connected with some induction motors. If it is connected to the induction motor, in the case of power factor correction, the inductive motors will have a lagging power factor. When these capacitive loads are connected, that this reactive power, the reactive power which is created by the inductive load will be consumed by this capacitive load. The reactive power that will not allow to disturb your source. In that case, we can say that it is a capacitive load. If capacitive bank is alone connected to the source, we cannot say it as a capacitive load. That is not an electrical load, because it does not consume any power. Without, if it is consuming power, which is it is actually called as a no load process, it will not come under the load at all. But when it is connected to some induction motors, then we can take it as a capacitive load that is used for the power factor correction, that is used to increase the efficiency of the system, that is used to improve the power factor so that losses are getting reduced. Power factor, if it is increased, copper losses will get reduced, and our kVA ratings, due to the kVA ratings are low, then we can design the size of the equipment to be in lower size. Economically, it is profitable. Also, we can say that fuel deficiency will not be there, fuel losses will not be there, and the pollution will not be there, NOx pollution will not be there. So these are all happening when we correct the power factor, which is important. Otherwise, it is wasted in the cables. Without it is used by the load, you are paying for the power which is generated from the generator, but it is not fully used by the load. It is getting wasted in the circuit. So that is what happening in the power factor lagging system. So always improve the power factor. So next is examples of capacitive loads. Examples of capacitive loads are radio circuit, telecom circuits, electronics communication, and signal processing. So these are all the examples we have in the power factor. Examples for our capacitive load power factor. Next is apparent power. What do you mean by apparent power? Is the total power. It is the vector sum of the real power and the reactive power, or active power and the reactive power. Real, active, true, working power, all same. So apparent power is the vector sum of the real power and reactive power. What do you mean by vector sum? That we will see from the power triangle diagram. From the power triangle diagram, we can see what is the vector sum of real power and reactive power, and how the apparent power is produced. And it is the total power supplied through the power mains. So this power factor will be 0.8. That means 80% of the power from the main is used to do the real work. So both resistive and inductive is connected. So this resistive is active power and this inductive is reactive power. The resistive will consume all the powers to do the real work. The inductive will have some of the power which is going to be discharged to the source. So we can say that the power factor is 0.8. The graph here tells us this is the voltage curve and this is the current curve. So according to that, the power curve is also drawn. So at the time of resistive load, both V and I will be in phase. At the time of inductive load, there will be some difference in the angle between voltage and current. It will not be for 90 degree as we have in the pure reactive power. The pure reactive power, it is pi by 2, 90 degree phase difference. But here it is both the loads are connected, resistive and inductive. So this will be the angle difference, maybe less than 45 degrees. So this is the angle difference between your voltage and current. Voltage starts from here. The current is starting from here. Voltage starts from here and the current is starting from here. So that is the voltage graph starts here and the current is here. So this is the angle difference. So this determines your power factor, the cosine angle of this difference. It is near to 0.8. It means 80% of the power from the main is used to do the real work. The next one. This is power triangle. So what do you mean by power triangle is actually, power triangle, we have base, we have hypotenuse, we have perpendicular lines. So the base is called as the active power. This is the graphical representation of the power. So active power is equal to VI cos phi, that is in the base, and the perpendicular line is reactive power, that is Q is equal to VI sin pi, and apparent power is the hypotenuse power, that is apparent power is equal to S is equal to V into I. So the apparent power square, S square, is equal to P square plus Q square. This is a power triangle. Is a graphical representation for a real active and reactive power. All the three powers to show the graphical representation. And mostly it will be like a right-angled triangle. Active or true power refers to the entire amount of the power dissipated in the electrical circuit. It is measured in watts, or it can be said as kilowatts, and it is represented with P. So active power P is equal to VI cos pi. It is a true power. The entire amount of power is dissipated in the I square R. Electrical power is converted into the heat. Next is reactive power. Reactive power or imaginary power is the power that does not do any real work. Zero power dissipation. So this is called as wattless power. The reactive power is also called as wattless power. And this is the power derived from reactive elements like the inductive load and the capacitive load. The reactive power is calculated in kVA. kVAR, kilovolt ampere reactive, and this is denoted by Q, kVAR. That is reactive. So the total power in the circuit, both observed and dissipated, that power is known as the apparent power. Observed power is called as the true power, that is active power, and dissipated power is called as the reactive power. This both the total power is called as apparent power. So the apparent power is multiplying the RMS voltage with RMS current without any phase angle quantity. It is computed in this way. The RMS voltage with the RMS current without any phase angle quantity. This is our power triangle representation, a graphical presentation to show what is active power, what is reactive power, and what is apparent power. It is almost like a right angle triangle, and this is the cos angle, cos pi. So according to this, the difference is found out. This is almost a right angle. So cos pi is equal to, we know the formula, active power by apparent power, which is kW divided by this apparent power. Apparent power is also called as kVA. So that is our cos pi. Because pi is here, it is like this, and this is an angle difference between the apparent and the active power. Next. So next is power factor correction. How do you correct the power factor? Power factor correction is a method to increase the efficiency of an electrical circuit by reducing the reactive power. Power factor correction is achieved through parallel connected capacitor that opposes the effect caused by the inductive element and decrease the phase shift. So when the inductive loads are connected, there will be a power factor, lagging power factor. The current will lag. So when the capacitive banks are connected, this is delta connected capacitive bank and this is star connected capacitive bank. When this is connected parallelly to this inductive elements, then it will improve the power factor. There will be a decrease in the phase shift. There will be a decrease in the lagging power factor. That is called as the power factor correction. If power factor is corrected, the efficiency of the circuit will be increasing. The losses will get reduced, as we have already said, I square or losses will get reduced. As well as we can say the size of the equipment can also be reduced. So these are the important advantages that power factor improvement is having. We can avoid the wastage of the power. And that's it. Thank you for listening. We'll see you with another good topic.